Yeet.
Yes, joining me.
Can't hear you, bro. There you go.
Nobody can hear me. It never fails. So I'm Double A, and wearing the backwards cap is Suge Light. And joining me is Chris Barra, and maybe somewhere down the road, maybe Corey Hammond might know. But nonetheless, today is the last line of defense. When it comes to the defense, today we'll be talking about our top 7 quarterbacks / defenders here on this 114th edition. And right on cue, Travis Gallardo saying good evening and greetings and salutations to you, sir. Gentlemen, first off, how was your Turkey Day? Did you enjoy it with your beloved family and loved ones? And now it's just come down
I enjoyed Thanksgiving greatly and had some fun.
Well, considering that both of your fellow teams win on this last Thursday, some closer than others. One decision ended up having a coach getting his job cost, and now sets up a very big matchup tomorrow evening for one Derek Duncan's beloved Detroit Lions as the Packers come into town on Thursday Night Football, if you will. And also joining us from the state, fresh haircut and coaching his son, the relatively quarterback of the league, the one, the only Mr. Corey Hammond.
What's up, gentlemen?
What's going on?
Well, we have Thanksgiving behind us, Christmas in front of us, and a winter war because winter is coming.
No, we have my birthday before Christmas.
Whose birthday?
Mine.
Well, happy birthday, but I checking my calendar, that doesn't necessarily appear as a major holiday, but maybe text it to me. I'll add it.
It's my personal holiday. So
how old are you turning? 29 again?
No, it's my Jackie Robinson 42.
Oh shit! You got to retire that number afterwards.
Oh, it's already retired. All across Major League Baseball. But again, last line of defense. We're talking about safeties and corners. Our top 7 of 2024. And of course, there are a lot of people, unfortunately, because they made other lists. As you see, Corey Hammond's T-shirt of himself, Matt and Rob. Who designed that shirt, Corey Hammond?
It was commissioned for us by a certain running back named after public transportation out there.
Oh, yes.
However, I do fail to remember the specific artist. However, it is greatly appreciated. And if Draco or Chick-fil-A Nugget guy or whatever we're calling him, Big Bravado Wilkerson, BBW.
At this point, whatever he wants to be called at this point.
Let me see the shirt. Nice. My guess would be it'd be McWillie since he's the shirt maker on their team.
No, he might have made the shirt, but I don't think he commissioned the actual drawing. That's we'll have to get that in the comments from Draco himself after he checks in.
But why are you the smallest guy in height in the shirt?
Well, if you look at the perspective, I'm in the back. So,
okay.
By the way, the main protagonist of Demon Slayer would be the guy that I am representing here on my shirt, Tanjiro Kamado. And then there is Big Rob, who would be Inosuke. And we won't say that Matt Ryan is an exact replica of his character because, when what's his name is not sleeping, he's kind of a bitch. But we all know that Matt Ryan is Speed. And for Demon Slayer fans, you know that Matt Ryan is in the right spot there.
All right. So sure. Is the anime show Demon Slayer, or is that just a person on the program?
No, there's a show, Demon Slayer, which is where I get the Lord Tenyin Uzue reference for Lavish Tea, because that character's his whole gimmick is he's flashy. He like wears like diamond encrusted all this shit. and he's the sound Hashira, so blah blah blah. And so there's a couple of references I do from there, but because when I started doing the references, RTC got me the shirt.
So the cool thing for me is,
What's up, Cam?
My first 10 minutes of anime last week over Thanksgiving, so I was able to do something productive with my life.
Which was your introduction to the anime genre?
It was on something called Cracker something TV.
Crunchyroll. You're forgiven. Crunchy crackers.
I feel bad.
I think the reference would be like a sushi or a sashimi, but if you go cracker, I mean, you're not white, so whatever. Cracker away.
I mean, I'm half white. It was, what's the original anime that like kind of
Dragon Ball Z? Dragon Ball Z is the original. Dragon Ball Z is the original anime. Not really. There's tons of manga, which is basically what we call the comic
somewhere
book.
in between Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z. I think was this one. I think it was before that.
Naruto.
But may I suggest
One Piece?
May I suggest if you're going to watch anime, you have to watch one of the greatest animes of all time, which is Akira.
Here's good news for you, Dub. I'm not going to.
Well, what's I want to know this. I want to know this anime. What's the premise of the anime that you watch? And I haven't seen Akira, so I'm gonna have to check that out.
There was a dude with blonde dude with spiky hair.
Oh no. Yeah, so that's Dragon Ball Z.
That was Dragon Ball. Okay.
He wears like an orange kind of an orange gi with like black boots and blue.
Sounds about right. I don't know. He threw some dude into the earth, and the earth blew up.
Did he have the mean widow's peak that came like down all the way? Because that's Vegeta. No, we lost.
No, I'd know Vegeta if I saw it.
Well, Goku is the
Goku sounds about right.
Yeah, that's Dragon Ball Z. So
okay.
Once upon a time when a lot of us were children, some of us were young adults. Cartoon Network started doing Dragon Ball Z and had one of the best intros. And the 90s had some great intros to cartoons, but one of the best intros, look it up. Cartoon Network Dragon Ball Z intro for all of you fans of Dragon Ball Z that watch on Crunchyroll that have to get the OP that is in Japanese. Watch what Cartoon Networks gave us. It was a mean guitar riff, and it just said Dragon over and again. Dragon Ball Z.
What's up, Corey? How are you, sir?
CP3 knows a little bit about anime. And if you haven't seen Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, let me tell you something, Derek. Alchemy. The study of reconstructing and deconstructing matter. No, I'm not gonna do the whole thing. But anybody who knows Full Metal Alchemist knows that is one of the best shows, not cartoons, shows, maybe of all time. Which transitions nicely, guys, into us talking about last week we did the most important position.
Voltron.
Voltron's cool.
No, that's some cool shit.
Form blazing sword.
Voltron's cool, and I think Voltron is technically considered an anime as well.
Oh, good. Then I watched a ton of anime.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
I watched a ton of it when I was little because I watched Voltron like nobody's business.
Yeah.
I have Voltron on DVD.
If Voltron or Transformers or
no.
from the 80s and 90s are considered anime, I watched the shit out
of it. Certain, like, you probably see, like, Sailor Moon?
No, but I know Thundercats. Is that anime?
No, that's not anime. That's just American animation. Anime, I think specifically.
No, there are Japanese Thundercats, just like there's Japanese Transformers.
So my understanding is one of them might have been Transformers, might have been Thundercats, was an adaptation of a Japanese show that became Americanized.
Well, Power Rangers
was. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was, for sure.
Okay, that's live action.
Power Rangers is just a fucking spinoff of Voltron. I don't give a fuck what anybody
says. But it's...
No, Power Rangers actually was a show in Japan. And then they just filmed the white kids and the token other races that matched their colors, by the way, which was a little bit yikes. But anyway, again, most important position last week.
Link is in the chat, Corey.
Well, hold on. If that's the case, man, then He-Man was
Hey,
definitely
CP, yes.
anime.
Yeah, but,
CP,
but
yes,
those
you
are.
can hop on.
But the thing is that to make the distinction, there are American animation shows, right? South Park is not an anime just because it's a
No,
cartoon.
I get the difference.
Anime is specifically derived from what they call manga, which is like their comic books, right? So that's kind of the delineation, but then you can go into the Studio Ghibli stuff, whatever. Corners.
The last line of defense.
Thought that was-
Megatron
Isn't
must.
safety the last line of defense?
Well, it's we're combining both of them.
Listen, look at the teams that actually put a safety back 10 yards, from the line of scrimmage in the A7FL. They're wasting a man. And it's probably a guy that doesn't want to get in the mix tackling, also can't cover one-on-one. So maybe just cut him from your roster. Safety, useless position in the A7, hot take. But defensive backs then, if we want to include some
hence your headline, Corey.
So yeah, can we send over? I mean, CP, you're in those chats, so you can
The
just
link
click.
the link is in the chat.
The link is in the chat. So let me just real quick before we move on. Anyone who is part of the other side of the ball network and part of our chat is always invited to come on this flagship show, The Other Side of the Ball. This is not exclusive to Vegas, not exclusive to the West. This is for all Other Side of the Ball network contributors who are part of our chat. So you ain't even got to ask. Jump on here, be seen, be heard, bring your take. I wish we had your input when we were trying to put this list together, because we probably could have had a few more guys to review, because it keeps being Insomniacs and BIC and the U and Sick with it, and nobody else really gets any play. So we'll see where this one goes, but that's typically how it goes.
I mean, the thing that ends up happening is the guys that have performed in game consistently, they do tend to be, I think, on the better rosters. And we've sprinkled some Florida guys and Ohio guys and different guys in there.
Sometimes the same guy, but a guy.
Yeah, lightly sprinkled.
No, the Indianapolis guy has been a honorable mention, and we sprinkled, to quote the great Dave Chappelle, just sprinkle some crack on them. Let's get out of here.
Indeed,
and
indeed, Johnson.
And so before we jump right into the top 7 D-backs, corners, whatever we call them.
Wow, I wouldn't call them D-backs.
As in the Arizona Diamondbacks?
Oh, well, I don't know.
A little close to D-bags.
Oh,
wow.
Wow.
Well.
Corey went there.
He did.
I don't know. You see what my Chiron is under Corey Hammond?
His headline.
Let's continue sipping.
His tea, like he's Kermit the Frog here.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but we know it's not tea.
It's iced tea.
Hey, listen, Cam, Cookies and Milk over here. Jordan Davidson does have a name that I actually think that we should talk about. It's because we're right now talking about honorable mentions, and James Mitchell always mentioned. I don't think we need to, but the second name there, Andrew Ruffin, is a guy from the Heist.
From the Temptations? I'm sorry, that's
No.
David Ruffin. I'm sorry.
No. Andrew Ruffin, actually, we made the joke that he can do everything, and he can even write computer code. And it was just a joke that Matt Ryan actually just came up with off the top of his head just to keep the joke rolling.
Back.
Yikes. Good luck with that. So Andrew Ruffin, we made the joke that he could even write code for apps and like computer games and stuff. And actually it is confirmed he does also write computer code. So
I was just going to say, was that a joke, or does he actually do that?
It was a joke. It started off as a joke, but then the man can do everything. I think he's some kind of like engineer or some kind of STEM, actual, career. He's involved in science, technology, and math.
Engineering or computer science?
I'm not yet something, but he's a really interesting person, but he's also a really great football player, and kind of had his coming out party against the U in that playoff game that was featured in Games of the Week at Asbury Park, the Heist versus the U. He was one of the reasons why they were competitive with, at the time, the almighty U. Newsflash, guys, we'll see how that roster shapes up. This is always a rough time for them in the offseason. No, the U. I think the Heist are potentially in a better spot. The U, I mean, it happens every year. Those guys are relatively in their twilight of their careers, but around this time every year, there's always like there's panic in Patterson. But we'll see who comes out for them next year. Go ahead, Dub.
Before we continue the countdown, real quickly, Kenny Mack, happy birthday, guy. Hope you enjoy your day.
Oh yeah, happy birthday, big man.
Fellow Sagittarius.
Saw that earlier. Wish him happy birthday. Got a couple birthdays, but we got to start doing shout outs for birthdays as well.
Yeah. I mean, we gave him a shout out for his actual football talent and happy birthday to him. I hope he enjoys his day. But yeah, he last week was his show, so I mean, almost all the way. He just missed being the guy. He was one of the guys. But so Jordan Davidson hits it right on the head as always with Cam. I think James Mitchell is a guy in the Ohio, like Midwest division that people talk about in a lot of instances.
Very versatile.
And then maybe hide the lead for the rest of it. But guys, who are some of your honorable mentions? And if Derek doesn't make it back, I know guys that he mentioned specifically, so I can help him out with that.
Well, I mean, we said that we wouldn't put guys on two different lists. We wanted it to be 50. So one of my honorable mentions would be Jordan Webb, without a shadow of a doubt.
Jaden.
I said Jordan. My apologies. I meant
That's all
I
right.
was looking at something completely different, and I said, anyway. Bottom line is, Mr. Webb also deserves his honorable mention on here for his play in the secondary, and I think that he in my eyes truly has a choice to make. I know that he could play both, and I think he could excel at whichever one he wants to put his mind to. So I'm very interested to see which one he picks in the Winter War if he does decide to play.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that's the interesting thing about the Force guys is and I think we had a show earlier that kind of went into the specifics of that phenomenon. I would argue that it would behoove Coach Mack and the Force to continue to get reps as one solid squad. But if he's open to kind of get reps and join a team, whether he joins up with a team like the Alienators or he ends up kind of seeing where he fits on one of the upper echelon teams in SICK or the Insomniacs, he's definitely a playmaker and one of those guys that across the board is useful in a lot of different ways. When you have that athleticism and that top end speed, even if you miss coverage for a little bit, if you have the ability, what's up, CP3? If you have
Corey,
the ability
welcome.
to, have that makeup speed, that that equalizer. Webb is certainly a guy that at the cornerback position isn't necessarily someone as a quarterback you would target. Dub, who's on your honorable mention list for the corner position?
Hey Dub,
yes.
I'll go after you once you finish.
Well,
Okay.
and CP, just so you don't spoil the list, double check our 7.
I didn't even see it.
That's what I'm saying. Go into the thing, double check our 7 so we don't.
Well, I'll mention one of Derek's guys, and then I'll mention my guy. Derek had previously mentioned J.J. Pugh from the Insomniacs, who played huge dividends in the secondary and was a very key, stable force on one side of the ball. For me, I'll stay on the Insomniacs, but I'll say they call him It's Him Jimmy, but he's actually known as Vincent Thompson, but It's Him Jimmy, another solid contributor on the secondary. Definitely at times shut down one side of the field to where you couldn't throw to that side of the field, almost kind of like in a Deion Sanders, Nnamdi Asomugha type of scenario. But
a lot of people forget about. I don't mean to cut you off, Doug, but a lot of people forget about Nnamdi. I'm a little older, I'm 32, but like when Namdi was playing on the Raiders,
Correct.
he was literally shutting everyone down for about 3 years until he went to the Eagles. Then he played man on one side and zone on the other side, which you never do. And that's why they had all the mismatches and confusion going on. But Namdi was one of the best corners that I've seen with my eye, the eye test.
Yeah.
He locked down anyone.
Yeah, until he got paid.
Well,
he
yeah.
got
Like they all do, right?
Like
he
they all
got
do.
paid. He got
But-
paid, and all of a sudden he wasn't as good.
But to piggyback on what
it was
CP
guaranteed
said,
though.
to
CP,
piggyback what CP said,
I got to kind of laugh at that because you said I'm 32 and I'm kind of old, and I remember, bruh, all of us on here are older than you.
We're talking to the fans. We know the we know the fans skew young, and we missed you. We missed you having you on to talk anime. What's your number one anime that Derek should watch if he's going to get into it? He said he'd watch Dragon Ball Z for a little bit.
All right, I'm gonna be honest with you, Derek. Dragon Ball Z is and for always will be the best anime of all time. Only because
it's the GOAT. It's the GOAT.
only because just hear me out. Only because a lot of anime like Naruto and Bleach, they've all branched off of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah. It's like Johnny Unitas of anime. You can't ever say anything bad about it. There are better animes in my opinion than Dragon Ball Z, but don't ever say anything negative about Johnny Unitas. AKA,
and it's also like this. The show has been gone. It went away and it came back like 20 years later in like 2015, 16. But since the creator died like last year, we don't know what's going on now. But yeah. I would say to the average fan who want to get into anime, I would honestly point to Dragon Ball Z, honestly, because it gives you the emotional depth, the spiritual depth, the intellectual, the macho man stuff you want to see. It just gives you a whole trifecta of stuff that I feel like most guys like. That's why it's the number one anime.
But the thing is that these young people, because my son got into Dragon Ball Z, right? And it was on a streaming service, so he got to watch it. The thing about watching Dragon Ball Z in America when you were a youth on cable television is having to deal with the next time on Dragon Ball Z, because they were about to fight and they were talking for 15 fucking minutes, and all of a sudden Frieza's just standing there and this noise, because everybody's just floating in the air talking shit.
I will recommend one thing though. Sorry to cut you off, Corey.
No,
the show has been remade over and over again so many times that most people won't see the original soundtrack and the original
in Cantonese.
What's his name, Corey? Bruce Falconer, the guy that does the original Dragon Ball Z.
The American one, though, right? The American one?
Yeah. You're never going to get that unless you buy that.
Dragon. What the Dragon Ball Z.
But Dub, get back to what you were saying with the corner, what Namdi.
No, I was just saying was like you never heard Namdi's name called during a broadcast because that mean that he was doing his job. Now, obviously,
also
Dion.
The Raiders suck too.
That too. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Where's Miz?
Mizzle is nursing. Mizzle's nursing himself right now because he's dealing with some issues, my guy. But now you heard Dion say because Dion did more than just obviously play cornerback. He also took punts back, took kicks back.
Listen, but who cares about that fucking league? Let's talk about this league, the league that Joe Rogan wishes he was watching. Slant League. He didn't mention us by name yet. We'll get to him. But who's your in this league, Dub? Or did you already kind of? Yeah, you already kind of. Yeah, and you.
I mentioned two. I mentioned Derek's name. Yeah. And I mentioned mine. There is another one I could mention, but I'm gonna let CP3 go.
So not on our list, CP. If you could see the guys on our list, there's no overlap.
Well, now, my honorable mention, and I don't want to sound biased because I went to high school with him, but Kyle Ward for the Patterson U.
That's fair.
Now, hear me out.
Sure.
Kyle Ward is really known for being a receiver, but since he left BIC because they wasn't using him enough, which they should have, and he left BIC and went to go play corner for the Patterson U, people was like, oh, how could you do that, et cetera, et cetera. But remind you, he still played receiver when Patterson needed him. But we all know once everyone left to go to BIC, Chick and Kales and all the veterans that's been playing since about 2012, and they went to the BIC. There was a hole that needed to be filled, and Kyle Ward unselfishly went to the cornerback position. And not only did he do that, I only see Kyle really get beat by Ashanti, and that's fair because Sperry's in the pocket holding the ball for about 8 seconds, and so come on now, if you're covering Ashanti and you're not getting the pressure, and he's running here, of course you're going to get open, But he locked down Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie. If no one remembers that game, even though their team didn't really show up, Bagway and Logo Davis, I don't care. That guy is still a former NFL player. Mm-hmm. And my friend, brother, who I went to school with, I'm busy, hold on, good job. That I went to school with. And you know what's crazy? Kyle Ward, bro, he hit me up. I mention this all the time. We was in high school. He hit me with the illest post corner in practice. I went that way and he went that way. And I said, oh, shit. And I'll tell him to this day, since you did that move, bro, I knew you were going to be the shit. And he wore no gloves in practice. Yeah. He wore no gloves in practice, bro. He was Marvin Harrison. He is really Marvin Harrison, bro. And he don't say a word.
It's really a shame. It's really a shame that we had to include that guy Mitchell on our athletes list because Kyle Ward would absolutely be one of the perfect guys for that list. Now, when we're making these lists, we try not to be Jersey guy, insomniac, Jersey guy. Now, it sometimes works out that way, but Kyle Ward for sure, he's a player that I think could be an honorable mention on a lot of lists. And I also want to give Jordan Davidson. I want to give Jordan Davidson another shout out on the show because he mentioned a guy from Snow Tribe, and if you're going that deep into the Northeast teams, to mention Ron Brown, aka Rondo, who has been a standout corner in this league ever since I was on the Renegades, even before you were, CP. And he's a guy that I think he's up there in the past 4 or 5 years for leaders in actual interceptions. And that's saying something for a league that has guys that like JJ, who also I think deserves an honorable mention. And let's also throw another BIC defensive back in there. I'm blanking on his friggin' name. DeMar. Who had the 3 interceptions in week 1 and scored a touchdown and won the Orb Bowl?
Who was it? Dadgummit.
Yeah,
I gotta go watch that game again.
I'm embarrassed because I've literally been a teammate of his. I've thrown him more touchdown passes than a lot of guys in this league that I've thrown touchdown passes to, and I can't for the life of me remember his name. It's been a busy day.
Rondo reminds me of Asante Samuel.
Ooh, good name.
Listen, Rondo. It was one of Rob Fabian's favorite Renegades from 2021, and he remembers one fade that he ran, and he jumped out of the gym to catch it over a guy against the Animals.
Yeah, I remember that's the one they always post in the intro video. I've seen Rondo pick off Huff. Yep. I think Rondo picked off Sterry.
Yep.
I think Rondo picked off a lot of guys, but since they're always getting blown out, no one mentioned these guys.
Well,
so
he also wanted to play a little wide receiver, and no one knows that for him. But I think the only guy we haven't named yet, guys, that we discussed earlier as an honorable mention is Dillard Davis. I'm sorry, Gianni Breland, and that's right. I'm going to continue the joke, but when Gianni Breland was on the Force. And the Force had won the Vegas division and played BIC. Gianni actually stood out as one of the better players on that Force roster because when he was matched up against Ashanti Worthy, he was able to kind of stymie him. Yeah, and now he plays. I'm correct me if I'm wrong, guys. He was on the Insomniacs or Sick.
I want to say he was on Sick this past season.
And I think he was an Insomniac 2 years ago and made big plays against the Nightcrawlers. And then this year he was on Sick. He is one of those guys that.
What number is he?
I don't know, it changes. And the reason
I remember that guy, yo.
I think he was like number 4 for the Force, and then for the Insomniacs last year, he had like a weird 26 or like weird number. But
CP3, I got you. Give me 1 second. I got you. I'll get
Thank you
you
so
the number
much.
on that.
But the funny thing about a guy like Gianni Breland is similar to tie it back into the Nnamdi Asamoah. When you're a corner and you don't get your name called at all, you're doing something right. Because if they don't even test your side, you know, everybody knows that Deion Sanders would bait people, and that's why he would get so many interceptions, because it would make it look like he was open. A guy in our league that does that is Neon Davis, the -1 for the U. Now, I did see him get torched a couple of times this year. No corner that's played as long as he has, will go completely unscathed. But the recovery speed for some guys that bait you, that's a huge thing. You know, again,
he wore number 12 this past season for sick.
Nice. And then we could get into guys for honorable mention like Amir Chick Morris, an all-decade performer at the D-back position, or the defensive back position to be specific, so it doesn't sound like D-bag. But I think Chick would even admit this year that he wasn't at every game 100% locked in. So did he make an amazing interception in the championship game? He's always Mr. October to make a baseball reference. But I guess for the ASMFL, it's June or July, Mr. July. But yeah, Gianni Breland.
Mr. Summer.
Yeah, Mr. Summer, that works. So Gianni Breland, we got Webb in there. We got Morris. Who else did we say? Some guy named Heem, the serial Heemer.
J.J. Pugh and It's Him Jimmy, a.k.a. Vincent Thompson.
Yep.
So,
guys, who's that?
Cam,
Do you guys have the cornerback on there?
Which corner?
From the Ohio division, the Volcano team. That's the team. Is that the right? No.
I think you're talking about
Nevada, right?
Which one?
He plays for the team that they had the quarterback that looked like Trevor Lawrence before he got hurt. He was the
James
white
Mitchell.
cornerback that was getting all the interceptions.
Not the white corner.
Yeah, bro, he looked like a old corner, yo.
I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve an honorable mention. I'm just saying the James Mitchell guy, I'm pretty sure is not that guy.
Okay. I'm trying to.
Yeah, you're talking about the Octane. I know.
The Octane, yes.
I think I seen the defensive player for the Octane that gets in there and gets shit done. I don't know what position he is. I'll be honest. But any corner that's white that gets reps, good for you, buddy. Good for you.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, I literally seen this guy made about 4 or 5 big plays, one-on-one, either picking the ball off, either the guy catching the ball on him and he's ripping it out, or they're fighting at 50-50. Like, he remind me of Corey. Remember the old corner from the Thrashers? What's his name?
Soltis.
No, not Soltis. Soltis play line, right?
No, that's Soltis' brother.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. They're both Soltis.
Wow, but yeah, bro, like he's for a nothing to be.
Brandon Garst, according to Cam. So our Ohio official, now it's official. Our official Ohio reporter Jordan Davison. It's Brandon Garst, number 2 for the Octane.
Yes,
and that's not coming from me. That's coming from Cookies and Milk Cam himself. Brandon Garst, number 2 for the Octane.
Like I said,
so
he's found his calling. Cookies and Cream has found his calling.
And Cream now.
Milk, and Milk has found his calling.
I see you drinking over there. You can have as many slip-ups as you want. If our president can't even speak a sentence without fucking up, you're good to go, Chris Vera.
That guy deserves the honorable mention too. For the games I've watched, because I try to watch everything. Everybody says, the Vegas don't play no defense and Ohio's boring, but football is football to me. And I enjoy football, so I watch every game, And I feel like there's nothing wrong with that, because I used to get called information junkie, or you're the only person I know all of this stuff. And well, okay, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with being informative?
And
Nothing
right,
at
I
all.
don't think look, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's just that Jordan he tried his hand in Ohio, came out here, tried his hand, went back to Ohio, called himself a lot of different names. I think cookies and milk sticks, and I think he found his calling as far as being able to give us names and talk
He-
about players in this league. I don't find
Yo,
he's always spot on with his
remember,
takes.
like
being
I'm
very
glad you said that.
honest when I say that I think he found his calling.
I'm glad you said that, Chris, because I honestly I follow him on Facebook too, and he's like the Baltimore Keith or RTU, you know?
Yeah, for Ohio. Yeah.
Yeah, he does he does his job over
Jordan,
there.
keep
So I can
grinding,
respect him for
keep
that.
working, get on that field. Don't let people tell you can't do it. They have told you can't do it, but don't let them. But he is also very elite at this reporting thing and letting us know
Yes.
things. And now to kind of tie into CP and your knowledge, one guy that's not on our list that I think deserves to be on the list, but the Maryland teams just kind of get shortchanged all the time. And no, I'm not going to talk about Keith Salmons at corner. He wouldn't be on this list, but I would put EJ up there as one of those guys at corner. Now they have a lot of guys at corner that can really be, impactful. Nani Forrester comes to mind for the Watchmen. I don't know if I would say that last year he had a performance.
You think EJ played better than number 2? What's his name? Number 2 for the Watchmen. Jesus Christ, I just played with him. He gonna be mad if he see this.
Well, you're not talking about Sly, right?
He catch all the rocket screens.
Aunt Mo.
Aunt Mo.
See, Aunt Mo. To me, Aunt Mo and Sly and like that's what I'm saying. Even though they call him Lore One, right? The little guy.
Little one.
That for whatever reason he hates me, and like people hate me in this league. No, he drove to New Jersey to tell me to my face he hates me. Good for him, but they got a lot of talent. They got a lot of talent at corner. The Watchmen. I think with Aunt Mo specifically, it's one of those things that a lot of guys don't make our list just because of the consistency. They're just not present at games enough or starting and make so Aunt Mo at his size, close to 6'4", probably 215.
I just think Aunt Mo played a little more than EJ though. That's the only reason why I said that. And he was the number 1 corner on their team only because DK left and went to go play for the Buzz. And I feel like DK is better than both of them.
Yeah, DK is a very good player. I think he's another one of those guys that makes the athletes list. The thing with the Watchmen is they ended up kind of becoming a Baltimore super team in the past couple of years where they were the Watchmen and not the Gators or the Rare Breed. So it's hard for those super teams, especially if they're not featured in games of the week, week in, week out, for guys to stand out in their limited amount of appearances. But listen, there's a lot of good corners in our league.
Yeah,
but guys, let's get to the number 7. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with the number 7 guy, let me introduce you to him because I was introduced to him, unfortunately, in his first game of the season, my first game of this season, and his first game ever. Yeah, this motherfucker jumped out the gym at 5, I don't know, like 7. Fucking, my wide receiver didn't try to get the ball, but Divine Epps, one of the animals, one of those rookie animals with Manny Diaz, Kwani Morgan, obviously everybody's favorite quarterback. But Divine Epps was one of those guys that actually stood out the earliest because he in that same game, he caught a touchdown and he had I believe he had a 3-on-1 return for almost touchdown yardage. And in that specific game, he was the difference. And it showed all season.
He lost like 2-3 dudes on like 2 different plays.
Yes. One was at corner, getting an interception, and the other was at receiver, getting a touchdown. And he consistently was their better or one of their better corners. And when Kwani Morgan was out there playing corner, you almost saw them throw to Kwani Morgan's guy more just because of how dangerous a playmaker Divine Epps at corner could be if you threw his way. So, there's
So
a
his real
lot.
first name is
Divine, yeah. I mean, look, we were calling him all kinds of different shit in the beginning of the season, and we just didn't know who the hell this guy was. But I will say, that crop of rookies for the Animals team was the difference for them being as interesting and as fun to watch as they were. I think that they definitely need to find somebody to rush the passer and maybe a guy or two to help out the Santistabans at the offensive line position. But the Animals are a team to watch, and one of the reasons, in my opinion, why they're going to have a bright future is their rookie corner, Divine Epps, our number 7 corner of the 2024 top 7, according to the other side of the ball.
Piggyback off of Corey and the number 7 player, it was really his show before David Tender took over in game 3 and 4. Because like Corey said, not only was he playing corner, he was their receiver. He was their kick returner before Kwani Morgan got there, a.k.a. Ghost, they call him. So I really feel like he could have easily been, if they featured him a little bit more, probably one of the rookie of the years, because he had a great game the first 2 or 3 games until he cooled off a little bit. But understandable because the Animals had another guy, KP. They're one of the receivers that was given both the BIC corners, all of them problems in the playoff game when they scored, 68?
Well,
So,
and Manny Diaz was their kind of true number 1 guy. And then Kwani Morgan as that running back, kind of slot hybrid. But early, like you said, early on, Divine Epps was more of the feature guy than even those guys were. And then enter David Tender, whole narrative for the season changes. But his production, especially at the corner position, never dropped off, even when they found other guys on the offensive side of the ball to produce for him. And that
quick question. Let me ask you, just hypothetically, do you think if Syer Hancock stayed on the Animals, do you think they would have went a little further because they would have filled that position on not only one side but the other side too, making it even harder?
Their issue on the defense was not their skill guys on the outside. I think that their issue on the defense was that they didn't have. And look, they had guys like Missile. They had guys like, we called him Wally Cleaver. We called him Bobby Boucher, right? But their defense could not get pressure on the quarterbacks on the top end of the Northeast spectrum. So when they played the Watchmen scored what? It was like 70 something.
70,
when they played BIC scored 80. So,
yeah,
as good as those corners were, the thing is that if you give a quarterback that much time to throw and there's nobody really rushing the passer, forcing errant throws, it's going to be a rough day at the office, especially when the defensive line and the linebacker kind of, positional guys for the Animals, the Animals offense would score quickly. So those guys are on the field down after down after down, like, working hard, but not producing any kind of productivity. For me, if you have Syer Hancock on that team, they do have another corner, and I don't know, maybe we mention a guy that you just said later on this list, because he proved to be, in his rookie year, one of the top corners in the league. And that was on the other side of Huff. So, Huff was on one side of, quarterbacks were testing the opposing side of the Animals' defensive backfield. And it was a rookie, Syer Hancock, knocking the ball down, tight coverage on every receiver, archetype that he faced, and getting a fair share of interceptions in his rookie year. You add Syer to the Animals, I don't know if that makes a difference. I don't even know if both of those BIC guys in Isaac Gomez and Syer on the animals, I still don't know if that changes the paradigm for them, because I think what they need is to bolster the front end of their defense.
Are we
Because
still
if
talking about Mr. Epps, or we go off on a tangent into?
well, we were tangential there.
Okay, well let's bring
And
it back.
I tried. I appreciate you, Chris. The only one with an active cup in his hand is the one
Yeah, that's
steering
what I
us
need.
back on target.
Yeah, let's get to number 6, though. Come on.
Number
Okay.
six.
When you come to Vegas, man, I got you. Don't worry about it.
So for number
thank
6,
you,
I
boss.
think I'm going to hand over the reins to our Vegas guys to introduce us and elaborate on our
Number 6.
corner.
All
on
right.
this
That's
list
what I
tonight.
like. I like some new. I love new intel.
Chris, you want to take it or we want me to take it?
No, go ahead, Dub.
Well, number 6 is a very tenacious, physical man on the front lines for over the top. And certainly don't measure him by his size, but measure him by his heart. Our number 6, numero 6. You know him as Peasy, but he is actually known as Mr. Nigel Boone from Over the Top.
Nice.
Now tell us a little bit about what he does. Now I did think that Derek told us in the first 3 or 4 games he kind of exploded onto the scene. Pause. But elaborate a little bit for us on what kind of D back he is, and how he really makes the list as a guy on one of the lowest ranked teams, I think, in our top 7.
Well, you would consider
Really. Nice.
you would consider him what a lot of people consider Ed Reed to be, which is a ball hawk. Peasy was a ball hawk. He was always going for the ball, always trying to make a play on the ball, not afraid to get physical, not afraid to man up against somebody. It's just, he's very tenacious.
What size is he? How big is he? Pause. No diddy.
He's not that tall in height. I mean, he's lengthy, but he's not that tall.
I'm gonna say he's probably about 5'9" and weighs about a buck. What do you think, Dub? About $175?
If that, maybe like $170.
Somewhere
Somewhere in that range. But again, like I said, don't be fooled by his size, because his heart is as big as his whole body, and he's just not afraid to get dirty. He's not afraid to get in the trenches. He's not afraid. Anything you ask of him to do, he will do. He's just the ultimate consummate team player for OTT.
And he's the thing about it that I love about this kid is that when he says he's tenacious, that's almost an understatement. If there is one, he's the one that if somebody breaks free, guess who's still running the ball carrier down from behind? Guess who's still coming across the field trying to
watch some film on him. I like this guy.
Yeah, this is a dude that does not know the word quit for nothing.
He plays to the whistle.
This kid, if I'm not mistaken, he's the one that got injured. He got a gash in his forehead on a play, and basically took one play off and came right back in. Wrapped himself up.
He was like, "Take me up, I'm going back in."
Yes, he's going back in, and he is the. I know that we can't do punch out plays as far as the ball is concerned.
Oh, the Peanut Tillman.
Yeah, we can't do that. But if there was a dude that would Peanut Tillman you without being really, really be a showman about it, that's this young man. He has a knack for getting the ball out of people's hands. He has a knack for being around the ball. He has a knack for making the tackles, and he has a knack for just being in the right place at the right time.
You would think
that's just straight hustle.
You would think he was part of the Ramsey clan because he plays just like them.
Oh God, he's a Ramsey in kind of like
he's an honorable Ramsey.
Sami Zayn for the Usos, just an honorable mention.
He's the honorable, yeah. He's the honorable Ramsey.
And he started off the season strong in the first 3 or 4 games. He had 4 interceptions to start.
Yeah, he's a ball hawk. He is a ball hawk.
I think that
he stopped throwing his way.
Well, listen, if you got a safety back there, was he playing safety or corner?
Corner.
Both. He was a hybrid. He played both.
And he also played a little bit of middle linebacker too.
Yeah, he
Yes.
was a hybrid.
I don't know.
Just like the Ramseys, they're all hybrids.
I think one of the most interesting conversations to potentially have when we're done with all these lists would be, what the fuck, OTT? Because we keep mentioning all the things that they have going for them, and even last year, they need a quarterback. It's not an excuse because they had one of the best quarterbacks, by reputation and statistically in the division, at least by like I said, reputation.
They need an offensive line.
I mean, and that's huge. But at the same time, to have the Ramseys and a guy Yellow-Peasy, I don't know what his government is.
Nigel Boone.
I'll let you guys narc on the Vegas guys. Again, I'm
Mr.
McNulty.
Boone, Mr.
I'm
Nigel
McNulty.
Boone.
Mr. Nigel Boone.
I'm McNulty. I narc on guys like Ricardo Freeman and the like. But
Ricardo.
Listen, I love even the exuberance that G Herd when he's playing quarterback plays with. Nobody doesn't enjoy watching Savion Cunningham play. And as we've mentioned, we had a Ramsey guy on the list. We have a corner safety guy on the list. The team still loses so consistently, and even again in the games that they're supposed to win. Didn't they lose? They lost that tight one against the Pit Bosses in the middle of last season.
Correct.
So I think
also every team, as you know, every team goes through, and I'm not making excuses because I don't want anybody to feel that this is an excuse, but every team goes through a down period throughout the year. They had theirs, and then they came back very strong after that. They had 2 losses in a row, and everybody was like, wow, and they started to even get down on each other. And then within a very short period, when they decided to turn things around, don't know what the conversation was, wasn't part of it, so I'm not going to pretend like to know. But what I will tell you is when that change happened, all of a sudden they were showing up and showing out. And Peasy was part of that, and you had everybody just all of a sudden started coming together, and these guys showed that they could play. Now, I agree with you, Corey. I think that OTT is, a few players away from being highly competitive, and I think that, unfortunately, all that the pieces that are missing are all offensive linemen. In my estimation, they really don't. They can't give their quarterback time to throw the ball. They don't have the big men up front to play with some of these defensive lines. And if they did have those big men up front, I think it would be a different story.
Well, that takes care of our. Double Corey is never good.
Number 6.
Bringing us to number 5.
5's all the way live.
Now, if this was up to a fan vote, Cam, Cookies and Milk, are you still with us? If this was up to a fan vote, this guy would go to social media and get him to number 1 on this list, because all of the friends on his contact list and his followers on Instagram, he would force them to vote for a spot on a list for a league that they may or may not have ever seen. But I think it would be disingenuous to not include him on this list just because I like to roast him for wanting to be the defensive player of the year based on a popularity contest. But corner for the former real Sin City Chaos, Chris, I was having a lot of fun last week. You weren't here.
You better be glad I can't control your shit right now because you'd be on mute.
Well, I would just press it as well. I have the same power.
And yeah, but
number 5.
Drizzy Pope. Now, he's really on this list, unlike the fake high school that he played for on ESPN. Go into the archives.
High school?
Yeah, you don't know the whole
Really?
thing? All right, Dub might know. He's now on the Covington Times. Cam, Cam.
When you say fake, would that be kind of like the fake Sin City?
No, the real Sin City with a C. No, the real Sin City with a C. They don't exist anymore, so I'm just going to get as much life out of that joke as possible.
If something doesn't exist anymore, how can it be real?
Because it was adjudicated on the
But
official
how can it be real if it
podcast
doesn't
of
exist
the.
anymore?
of the league. And
But how can it exist? How can it be real if it doesn't exist anymore?
listen, you
You're
were
not
there.
answering the question.
You heard my argument.
You're not answering the question.
How could it be real? The Sin
If it
City
doesn't
Chaos
exist anymore.
actually at least did exist. There is no Sin City Vegas team with an S. So the real Sin City Chaos. Now, listen, he's on the Covington heist. But
So is that
Jo-
part of
Jordan.
the guys that are, well, hold on real quick, Corey, and the honest question. Is
Yeah.
he part of the guys that are going over to Covington from Sin City?
from according to Jordan and Brent Smothers,
So this is one of the guys that's going over to the heist from Chaos.
yeah, and look, when you watch the Chaos Insomniac game from 2 years ago,
Yep.
you know, he was better than the I don't know, the guy's last name was like overall, and then I made the joke that he's like a 50 overall. But Jordan, what was the fake high school that he played for that was on ESPN playing games with guys that were not of high school age? He was one of the starters and kind of standout players on that fake team. It was like Bishop Sycamore. What was it, Jordan?
Seriously, they made a fictitious high school?
Yeah, I'm looking up. Listen, I'm going to Google. Fake. I'll tell you right now. Fake high school football team. Boom. Bishop Sycamore. Yeah, it was. So look it up. It happened.
He played for this fake high school team.
Bro, it's insane. There's like a whole backstory to it. I don't want to get too sidetracked because I want to talk. Yeah. I was right. Cam confirmed. But he was one of the standout guys on that team. Now that team was one of the teams that was featured and played on ESPN in kind of their high school series. But talking about his A7 career in the Ohio division, he is clearly a shutdown corner and was the fan vote last year, not this year, but last year for Defensive Player of the Year based on the amount of fans that voted for him. He does have a unique following. He is an interesting football social media follow because he does play football all year round, all types. And he even does the point of view, the kids would call it POV cam, where he wears like a GoPro on his head and like I don't know the allure of this.
When he played in this, I'm just curious because you said
I don't honestly. I don't know. I think the way that Bishop Sycamore the scam is that they told their players that it's like kind of like an extra year of eligibility. So a lot of these guys. Yeah, so Jerry Rice followed him on Instagram, so that's cool. Yeah, so I listen, I didn't watch the like documentary, like little episode of E60 or whatever. But from what I gather, they basically got guys that were, good. Obviously, they weren't like trash.
Yeah.
And they organized them in a way to kind of like give them an opportunity to showcase, right? But the way that the organizers pitched it as if they were a legitimate high school. Right, but they weren't. so
but yet they were playing high school teams?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
and they're probably smacking them down too.
Yeah, so Wikipedia has it. An American football team named Bishop Sycamore Centurions, based in Columbus, Ohio, purported to be a high school football team of Bishop Sycamore. Go Google it. But let's get back to Drizzy Pope.
Yes.
That's an interesting kind of little tie-in to like a more famous thing. And Cam, again, great reporting, followed on Instagram by the Jerry Rice. So, like I said, he is but after a blowout loss to IMG Academy that was televised on ESPN in 2021, there was increased scrutiny and an investigation into the school's existence. This investigation uncovered the identities and credentials of the team's administration. A former executive Ohio School Athletic Association came forward to say, after 3 years of investigating, the school was convinced that it was a scam. So that's interesting.
It took 3 years to find out it was a scam.
Listen, I don't
know.
IMG apparently wiped the fucking floor with them like the Insomniacs wiped the floor with the real
Here we go.
Sin City Chaos. But
Anyway,
to me,
moving on.
Drizzy Pope of the now Covington Heist, so I can't even say it anymore, Chris. So I'm just going to get as much as I can out of the joke until the start of the next season. I don't think their running back is going to make the list, so you don't have to worry about that. Shout outs to Zay Buddha or whatever the fuck that guy's name is, who's not really that great. He's not bad, but not great. Our number 5 corner, Ohio product. By the way, Ohio, you guys have made a lot of these lists. We are not to be called biased, which will take us to our
Number 4.
Corner of the 2024
Interesting,
ASAP
Mr.
Hancock
Hancock.
season.
Huh?
Oh, yes,
Now-
indeed.
Ask Scott Hamilton who this guy is, and he might remember exactly who he is on a pass that we were featuring for whatever reason in last week's episode to shame my friend and colleague in the quarterbacking, Scooter Scott Hamilton. There's an HBO documentary on Bishop Sycamore. Jonathan Clark,
Interesting.
what's up, my guy? Did you listen last week when you were featured as the Ohio lineman to watch out for and our
Number 4.
I think it was either 4 or 5 lineman of the year, Jonathan Clark stepping in? Yeah, HBO documentary on Bishop Sycamore. Drizzy Pope will be featured on this list. He's number 5. Number 4 is Sire Hancock. CP3 mentioned him before when he was gracing us with his presence and
Yeah, he said he'd be back. I'm wondering
his
where he's
kids. He's got a lot of shit. He's like juggling a lot of shit going on. You listen every week, Jonathan Clark? Well, you're the fucking man.
at. Yeah, come in here and start letting your presence be known, man. Don't sit on the sidelines.
Yeah, fucking roast Corey Hammond. That's that's what the comments are for.
Everybody does.
Um,
that gets old. You can roast other people if you want.
Now, the news that I want to know, I think where Jonathan Clark goes, in my opinion, because we talked about it last week.
Hey, we'll talk about that afterwards. Stay on track. We're
Well,
talking about Mr. Hancock.
We do have 30 minutes, and
We're talking about
have 4
Mr.
guys.
Hancock.
Fair. All right, Chris, guy drinking, 1, keep us on track. But where he goes might decide the balance of power in the division. But Sire Hancock, former Animals corner, makes the move. Now, full disclosure, I was recruiting him in the offseason, and he said he would join me in the Renegades and be a wide receiver with me. Lies.
All right.
Fucking lies. He
Look who
joined
came
the
back. It's about time, CP3. Where were you?
Number 4 is Sire Hancock.
Now, you brought him up
Ooh,
earlier.
right on
CP.
time.
You brought
Yeah,
him
that's
up
what
right
I
earlier.
was
on
gonna
time.
say, man. You came in right on time.
Maybe this
Didn't I
is
tell
your
y'all
go.
the price is right, baby?
And there you go. There you go.
Corey, I don't know if you started, but let me just give y'all the backstory on Sire Hancock. So
Go for it.
2023, I was playing for the Renegades, and we had a 3-team scrimmage. Corey's, at the time, Snow Tribe, the Animals, Huff, and my Renegades. Now, Sire
Snow
Hancock
Tribe.
was...
I never
Yeah, right.
fucking played an actual down for them, the fucking bastards. Anyway, keep going.
But hear me out. So, originally... Kenneth, they call him Young Bull, the quarterback / wide receiver for Snow Tribe. He's real good friends with Sire Hancock.
Mhm.
So when we actually practiced in about January, I'm like, hell yeah, bring him over.
Yeah.
The issue was Young Bull didn't want to play behind me at quarterback and he didn't want to play wide receiver. So they all left and went to the Animals. So once that happened, I said, oh shit, not only did we lose a star corner, and he can play receiver too. I said, we lost a great fucking athlete. So when I mentioned him earlier, when I said, do you think if he would have stayed on the Animals, do you think they would have went a little further? I think so, because I think he can run with the BIC receivers. Only knock I probably would have on him is he don't really like to tackle a lot, but I mean he's a cornerback who really does. But at the same time, I just felt as though he was already saying he's the best corner his rookie year. And he picked me off, too, in the playoff game and ran the shit back. That's another. Let me stick it to you right there, CP. But I thought if he wanted to prove that he was the best, I told him he should stay where he is, not go to BIC, jump on the bandwagon, which he did anyway. And he told me that it's going to work out for him, and he's better than all of us, and he's going to get a championship.
Well,
I don't think that worked out for him. I hope it works out for him in the
they
future.
got blown out. Yeah, BIC got blown out by the Insomniacs in the championship game. It's funny. Before you jumped on, I talked about how I recruited him to play with me this year for the Renegades. It seems like a lot of great corners. Fucking Sire Hancock has ADHD in the offseason picking teams. That's crazy. I didn't know that's great behind the scenes from The Price is Right over here.
Oh yeah, listen. Honestly, I feel like you can give me any player's profile picture, and I'll give them the bio and the description underneath it, and it'll be about 2-3 fucking paragraphs, even longer, because I can tell you I got the backstory about anybody in this league.
Well, CP said it.
In the North, let me say in the North Division area. There we go.
He's intercepted you. He intercepted me when I was on Boston. Shout outs to Goose. Goose, you
Boston Omegas.
Goose, you should have fucking caught it. No, I'm joking. He hasn't intercepted the two guys above me. Maybe he intercepted Derek Duncan once upon a time. I don't know. We know Derek is a quarterback. Didn't throw a lot of interceptions, but Sire Hancock for sure. I think, and
how old is Mr. Hancock?
This is his second year in the league, and I think he's approximately 21 years old. So he's got a bright future in this league.
He intercepted a pass from Derek as if his mom intercepted it when he was in her womb.
Any relation to Will Smith's Hancock?
He is not in my to my knowledge either related to has seen Charlize Theron naked. I mean, hopefully he might if he's watched the right movie. And he also is not a super powered human being to my knowledge. However, Sire Hancock did have, I think he was tied for the team lead in interceptions on a BIC defensive backfield.
Yes. I'll go further and say this, Corey. I felt like he was the best playmaking cornerback for BIC last year. He probably wasn't the best overall cornerback. Like you said, Chick was over there, Kel's over there, H3 over there. They had about 4 number 1 corners. So
and they had JJ and they had DeMar.
Stand out.
Yeah, they had safeties, man.
Who?
I keep fucking his name up, but the savvy old veteran that used to play with us on the Warriors at wide receiver.
Okay.
He's got the beard. He reminds me of James Harden. I don't know, whatever.
James Harden.
That's an ugly beard.
No, his beard's nicer than James Harden's beard, and he doesn't have fucked up teeth. But number 4 is Sire Hancock. Which guys? Vegas guys, everybody.
Yep.
Yeah, he intercepted David Tender as well, Jordan. He absolutely did. Sire Hancock was busy last season catching passes from quarterbacks, and he did not play receiver for those teams. But when I originally made this list and kind of looked for the input from you guys, I had 3 and 4 flip-flopped. But I thought about it, and I feel like even though the statistics probably proved out Sire Hancock's way, Hancock had an insane amount of talent in front of him on defense, forcing quick throws, and side to side across the field on the other defensive backs, meaning there's nowhere really you could have thrown it against BIC, which is why I didn't do that well, but had more passing yards than even Coach James's great quarterback in Scooter Hamilton. Shout outs to Coach James. I'll be back soon.
You just love poking the bear, don't you?
Well, I haven't checked after I dropped the Skeletor meme to the coaches and GM.
Go back and check that because Scooter had a couple of choice words for you.
Good. I don't fucking whatever. Everybody just
I'm
wants
sure
to
they were very manly.
Well, everybody just wants to pile on and somehow think that I'm being serious.
Corey, you've got to be the only person I know of that starts something in the comments and then says everybody wants to pile on. Dude, you started the comment.
No, I didn't. Everybody tries to throw the fact that, which I bring up myself because it's true and there's no hiding from it, that I haven't won or something. And whatever. Anyway,
That wasn't
the
where
Insomniacs are two-time
anyway.
champs.
Anyway,
The Insomniacs are two-time
let's
champs.
let's get back on task.
No, I think people are getting mad that I'm making the joke that the Insomniacs blew out the BIC when they only won by one, but they're taking victory laps like they dominated both championship games.
Number 3.
A guy that recently beat the Insomniacs, cornerback and social media extraordinaire. Guys, do you guys want to talk Vegas guys? Do you want to talk about our number 3 corner?
Cool case, man.
Where would you like me to start?
What is he's Jamaican?
No, we just want to throw it in there.
Oh, all
Mr.
right.
Shepard is probably one of the people that I could say very, very, very easily and very honestly, he is very much like DP when it comes to this stuff. He's not vocal. He's not going to talk unless you talk. He is going to keep to himself most of the time. And seriously, you think I'm lying. He will never say a word to anybody unless they say something to him first. That's where it starts.
But when you get him,
I think on the field, in between the lines, he does his fair of shit talk.
I'm telling you, dude, I've watched so many of this young man's games. Shep does not talk unless spoken to. If you are quiet, he is not.
Yeah.
yes, number 13.
Yeah. He will not talk unless spoken to. That's just him. That's his personality.
But when you
what
do
he
talk
does
to him,
is, and he'll tell you. Go ahead.
no, I'm just saying. But when you do talk to him, he is a fantastic interview, very detailed and very thorough.
And also, from what I see on the field, a very adamant shit talker when provoked, potentially. Not disagreeing with you, Chris, but I don't think he's shy. In that sense.
He's not. That's my point. He has shy. He won't shy away from. If you're going to call him outside of his name, he's going to talk shit right back to you, and he's going to do it in a very eloquent way, and then he's going to let his play do his talking. Period.
And for me, he kind of stood out. The first time I ever saw him in very specific detail was that championship game in the fall for the Pit Bosses versus the Kryptonite.
Oh yeah.
His job in that game was to guard Eric Schufert.
Yep.
Not an easy task.
No.
And for a lot of guys that play the corner position, we've even mentioned it on guys that have made this list. Physicality is not always necessarily a big part of those guys' games. But don't say that about Justin Shepard. No. Because if you're going to play football with no pads, full contact, you have to approach it, in my opinion, the way that Justin Shepard does, which is he's not afraid from getting involved in the run game. He is very difficult to block, and as a blocker, when he does play wide receiver, he is a physical and dedicated blocker. But in that matchup for me against Munchie, head to head, not that Munchie didn't get his plays here and there, but Munchie was kind of iced out a little bit in that championship game, at least to the point where we've become familiar with Munchie being the go-to guy for Scott Hamilton. When it was at the time, because he played for the Kryptonite, Lex Luthor. I like to throw that back. Smooth, as he likes to call himself, I guess. When it wasn't Scott Hamilton at quarterback, there was no hey, I'm just going to throw it to Munchie and it's going to just be a completion. And I think what happened is that when you look over to Justin Shepard guarding Munchie, at least in that Pit Boss Kryptonite matchup, not every time, but a lot of the times, Justin Shepard was in the hip pocket, just as physical as Munchie, which is definitely one of his abilities at the wide receiver position, is his physicality. And I think when you watch him for Sick With It, he is probably the bright spot of that defense, even though a lot of times he's the one that when Gianni Breland's on the other side, you almost think that, hey, I guess I'll test number 13.
That's the wrong thing to do.
No, sir.
It's the wrong place to go.
Because when you talk about a complete corner in coverage, making an interception when the ball's available to him, like capitalizing on the turnover opportunity, and, coming down into the box and making a tackle in the run game, at least in the Vegas division, I don't think that there's a better guy doing all three of those things than Justin Shepard.
I will put it
Number 3.
I'll put it like this. Shep is one of the few cornerbacks that I will say is going to be in your hip pocket at all times. And if you're going to throw the ball to a wide receiver, you better throw it out in front of him, because if it's just a tad behind him, it's getting picked. If
And
you
going to the house.
on his side, no, you're not going to run on his side. He will come downhill at you. He's not afraid to do so, and he doesn't give a shit who the running back is. And I've seen him go head up with RTC one-on-one, and both of them have gotten the best of each other. But I've seen them. I would put it on 10 out of 10. I put it 5 at 5. These two, obviously, we know what RTC is about. What I'm saying about Shep is he's not afraid to make a play.
Not scared of the
Not afraid to
contact.
come downhill at you. He's not afraid to
He
pick
sound
the
like
pass.
he sound like the Baltimore. He sound like the Vegas version of DK. He sound crazy.
Yeah,
He's-
and
He is one of the most sane people with one of the most crazy games you'll ever meet.
And the way that DK got his name, right, is because of his how he resembles DK Metcalf, because he looks like a freak of nature, right? Like, no Diddy, no whatever, right? The dude's chiseled. Well, Justin Shepard may not be as tall as DK,
But he's
from
chiseled.
but he does not skip the gym. He does
And
not
he's
skip
cool
out.
case.
Yeah.
Cool
you know,
case, Justin.
the fact of calling them cool cases is 100% real. This dude is the real deal. And, Shep knows how we feel about him because we've talked to him about it. This dude is for real. I mean, it don't matter whether you got pads on. If you got pads on, he's going to hit you. He's going to light your ass up. But just because he doesn't have pads on, don't sleep on the fact he's going to do the same thing.
Number 3.
Justin Shepard, and we were talking to him last week. I hope he gets a chance to tune in. And as competitive as he is, maybe he'll even get in the comments and disagree with us, which is what the comments are for, fans.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Clark.
Disagree with us. That's what they're for. This is all subject to interpretation and how we feel about these players.
And to quote a Dave Chappelle skit again, hate.
For a minute there, I thought you were going to say, "Gotcha, bitch."
Oh, that's not appropriate in this. Listen, there's Gotchavich was
F-bomb.
No, Gotchavich was the original meme before like internet memes. Like we would just, in what was it, like 2004-ish, 2005 when the Chappelle Show came out, we would just yell quotes from the most recent episode of Chappelle at each other like in real life before like memes were a thing. I know CP3 remembers those good old days. But that brings us, gentlemen, to our number 2 and number 1.
12 years old.
I think the
you
number
remember
2.
that.
Yo, CP definitely watched fucking
Dave Chappelle at 12.
what? Yo, Chappelle Show was the fucking show, bro.
No, it was crazy earlier. Not to go back to it. Corey mentioned the Sailor Moon, and I got a sister lives next door to me. She's only 2 years older than me. But this is why I know about even the Sailor Moon. My sister had me watching so much shit I didn't want to watch, but ended up being good, And
Sailor Moon was one of those. Yeah, it was on after school, so it was like they threw you a bone.
Bro, it was on
Watch Sailor
Toonami.
Moon.
Everyone watched Toonami.
Yeah, and I remember Sailor Moon almost being the show that was either like right before or right after Batman.
We got 10 minutes, y'all. Let's get back on task.
Number 2.
Come on. Who's number 2?
Go ahead, Corey.
Well, what I was going to say is on a lot of these lists, the number 2 and number 1, depending on who you talk to, could probably be flipped. Now, most of our lists, to be fair, have penalized guys that have not been in all season for whatever reason, right?
Correct.
This list, I don't think, does that because our number 2 guy did not really miss any time this season. And in his rookie year, alongside Sire Hancock, I believe led the team in interceptions and was a standout performer from the minute he got into the BIC practice. And that would be H3 Frazier, our
Number 2.
corner of the 2024 A7FL top 7 quarterback. Hold on. He might be number 2
3 years ahead, man. Can't go 3 years ahead of us. We got to stay here in 2024.
So
I'm the one drinking.
H3 Frazier, just like Sire Hancock, I think you could you could mix both of those guys. But where Sire kind of plays an honest corner, the swagger that H3 Frazier plays with almost puts him above him just in the attitude in which, in my opinion, he brings to the position. Because he does the games where he'll show off coverage and then run up and press after. Or he'll show press and then drop and give a cushion. Because he's so confident in his ability to cover whoever's in front of him. And he's consistently able to deliver on those promises that even in situations where guys look open against him, he has that recovery speed and he has that swagger and savvy to still either make the play or make the interception. And for me, when we watched this season, consistently, in my opinion, the best corner week in, week out, which is why when you hear our number 1, that's kind of the caveat that we've been avoiding all season. I don't think that there was a better corner just on pure ability last year than H3 Frazier. And a lot of the people I talked to around the league had Frazier as their defensive player of the year. Now, again, the BIC defense was loaded with talent in all levels. D-line, linebackers, safety, corner, whatever you classify guys as. But for me, Frazier
still blew him out.
Frazier had a lot of interceptions to prove that not only could he cover you, but if you made the mistake in trying to test him, he was going to make it a bad decision. And Mizzle, we're glad you're joining us now and not earlier. We won't repeat what CP3 said about a team that you may or may not like.
Really?
So let me
He
just
called the
wrap
Raiders
this up.
trash,
We don't have
just
a lot
so
of
you know.
time. Let me just
You
wrap
are
this
a
up real
narc.
quick. Like I said, we don't have a lot of time. So my take on H3, since I told you before, everybody on BIC hates me. So whenever I speak of them, it's like it's hating. So let me phrase H3 by saying he's probably the best corner I've seen coming into the league. Besides Sire Hancock, only because he played for the Animals and not BIC his first year, we really have to do anything. But besides that, when I'm looking at a complete cornerback that can cover, tackle, like Corey said, got the swagger, will tell you he's going to lock you down before the game, stay on the number 1 receiver all game, knows that his defense is coming to the quarterback who don't have a lot of time, so he's anticipating the slant or the crazy ass deep ball quarterback throw when they don't have no time and just say fuck it. He anticipates all of that, and that's what makes him a great corner. The only knock that I will say, like
That's
I
a
said
good
with
joke.
Tyron,
That's a good joke, Jordan. That's a good joke.
yeah, you got the 2 cornerbacks above them, not above, but you have Amir Chick Morris, probably the greatest cornerback of all time. Then you have Kels, as to play for BIC, who's arguably you could throw him in there with Deion Davis as the league's probably best corner of all time. 1-on-1 would just lock you down.
I'd put Bullet up there, but anyway.
Yeah. So even though he did have the talent around him and the mentorship, which is also important from guys playing for over 10, 12, 13 years, that also will help you in having the season I feel like H3 had. Will he have a great season like that next year? We hope so. We don't know. But I feel like number 2 is a great spot for him because I know who's number 1 is, and number 1 rightfully deserves it. So Vegas
Well,
guys, what you can
So that
say
so that's wrapping up our number 2. And if you spell Corey that way, then you're talking about CP, and he's the youngest one here. No E for Corey Hammond. But yes, talking ish with Dub and Chris. And I wonder which person that is upset that I say the real Sin City. Put that in the comments. Shout outs to my
what are
guy.
you talking about, man?
Damn, Corey is going to be old as hell. Says the guy who, anyway.
Yeah, no, the oldest one here.
Number 1.
Number
Right,
1.
we used to have rules for these lists, and we used to be specific to, we can't put this guy here or that guy there. And Mark Bagway didn't play enough games at quarterback. But you know what? Fuck those rules. The number 1 cornerback, based on what he's done in the past 2 championship games, in locking down either Logo Davis, Rico Brown, or even more impressively, in my opinion, Ashanti Worthy.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not Dillard Davis. No, it's not no, it's not Gianni Breland. Listen, there's a reason the Insomniacs are back-to-back champions, and I'm gonna be honest. It has nothing to fucking do with any other human being other than Danye fucking Lyons, our
Number 1.
corner. Because as much as I joked that it was a blowout, it wasn't. You guys were losing with 17 fucking seconds left, and guess what? Apparently, A7 God himself, Danye Lyons, saved the fucking game in the most miraculous fashion of all time. That's why championship points matter.
Predicted by the Asgardian himself, as you like to call him, Corey.
Bjorn Skarsgård.
Yes.
Yep. Predicted that by our own Asgardian that obviously went to the future, saw what happened, came back and told us about it because
Yeah.
I still can't believe he predicted that.
I watched that live. And I went live myself on the page, and I told them, I said, you know what they said, and the shit makes so much sense. And look what the hell happened. That's the craziest manifestation I've ever seen in my 32 years. I swear.
And that's the clutch performance that made the difference specifically in the championship game at the end when it mattered in that moment, right? Which makes it all the more impressive. But other than just those, I guess, probably like 9 seconds in real time, the rest of the, whatever, 58, Rihanna, chill out. We don't own the rights to your music. You're not allowed to sing. That's Te Amo, right? I know Rihanna when I hear her.
Hey Corey, real quick. Well, I was actually inboxing him, weeks prior to the championship game, and I was telling him that, I've been watching you for a while. I respect your game. I see you did the Rico Brown after they caught the one pass on the first play of the championship game a couple years ago. Then I was asking about what happened with the flag league over there when he left. And then I told him, don't get discouraged about that. Come back here and show them why you had a contract damn near for a pro flag team. And that's exactly what he did. And now I really feel like he is the Darrelle Revis of our league now.
Well, and that's what I was going to say for the 58 minutes and 43 seconds prior.
Lions Island.
Lions Island.
Kind of like it. Lions Island.
And here's the kicker. That's not his natural position. His natural position is wide receiver. Exactly. That's the kicker out of all this. That's the kicker.
And you know why I believe you so much? The play that the Insomniacs run up and dial up so well, that goddamn screen when the tackle kicks out. And bro, I've seen Daniel scoring that shit so many times. So when people telling me he's not a receiver, I'm like, bro, what game are you watching? Yeah, I literally see this guy go deep, catch a slant, a screen, a post corner, all of that for a touchdown.
He'll tell you himself. He plays corner out of necessity, and his natural position is wide receiver. And I'll tell you what, he has shown that he can read routes like nobody's business. And he's got the speed. Corey has said it a couple of times when we've been talking about different players. His makeup speed is second to none.
Yeah.
The kid,
Yeah.
when we had the combine last year out in Bullhead, he ran a 4.3.
Yeah, he's
Legit.
that
I
guy.
believe it.
He is a very fast individual, and his cutting ability, but even better than that, watch him sit back and let the receiver make his cut before he makes his break. Watch him set up so that way the quarterback has no place to go with the football. He is letting you take him to your route. And that's what a good cornerback does. And I'm really surprised for a kid that doesn't play corner on the norm, who plays wide receiver, has the wherewithal and the smarts to play this game the way he does.
And he's got some clinching in his resume. Interception against the Nightcrawlers 2 years ago, the 3-on-1 return last year in that blowout victory against BIC. But I think the most impressive thing that he did in that championship game against BIC was he kind of neutralized. Now, Ashanti got his touches here and there and still made plays. But
Corey, what touches you talking about?
what?
He got strapped up. What touches are you talking about?
Listen, he had 4 catches for 50-something yards. I mean, most guys in our league
No, he didn't.
Mason Catalazani would write home and like Andrew Luck, like that Twitter feed, dearest mother,
Bro,
I had 4 receptions.
Shanti Worthy had 1 catch. He had 1 catch, and that was on a broken play when Ashanti called the ball after Sterry threw it under duress. He had 1 catch. He did not have 4 catches for 50 yards. He had 1 catch. He got strapped up the whole game.
You're right. He did. And if I'm wrong on the stats, I'm wrong on the stats. He had 2 catches for 40 yards. Yeah, whatever. So I was far. He only didn't have just 1. But listen, the fact is that for BIC to beat teams in this league, when they've beaten the U, it's been Ashanti Worthy that's had like 2 touchdowns or 3 touchdown catches, or a 3.
He had 4 one game by himself.
Or for instance, when I played against Ashanti Worthy one time, we were up 18-12 entering the 4th quarter, and he scored himself 24 unanswered points by himself, which was frustrating. But for Danye to have canceled out the go-to guy for BIC, it forced Sterry to either throw incompletions to Kason Campbell, which were just errant and egregious, but also it was almost as if the Insomniacs were then able to just focus on trying to stop Sterry as a runner. Now, were they completely inept at doing so? Yes, they couldn't do it. But for the Insomniacs to just walk onto the field and say, all right, I see you're Ashanti Worthy, I raise you a Danye Lyons, that's, in my opinion, the reason why they were able to come back and win that game in blowout fashion with the 17.
Who won the Defensive Player of the Year this year?
I think Isaac again. I don't know. We had
wrong.
So is that the reason? Is that the reason why Munch always says we're just better?
Well, they were just better.
Yeah.
17 seconds. Yeah, they were. The
Hey,
17 seconds matter at least.
As to say, no game is over until the fat lady's singing, and she wasn't even warming up, obviously, because with 17 seconds left to go on the clock, knowing no time runs off the clock on a play like that, and to know that the 3-on-1's coming, especially with a Danye Lyons returning, the fact of the matter is everybody in Vegas knew that game wasn't over when he was returning that punt.
Yeah.
Now
And then
But just like
hold on. Could anybody here in Vegas tell you without a shadow of a doubt, obviously besides Scott McCorkle because he saw it happen, but could anybody else tell you without a shadow of a doubt that Danye was going to take that back for the touchdown? No.
But
Hell
they
no.
had confidence that he could. That is the correct
Hell
thing to
no.
say. Yeah.
When you have a player like him, you always have that chance of that happening. Period.
And he delivered for
Yeah.
sure.
Yep. He definitely wasn't playing the mailman on that day because we all know the mail doesn't get delivered on Sunday.
Well, I will say this. The people that say that, we knew it was going to happen, that's not the right way to phrase that. You still had confidence that you could do so, absolutely. The Insomniacs are never out of a game, regardless of anybody's feelings about them. Just look at the last 2 championship games that they won. They were down big at times in those games and still had the fortitude, the coaching, the football IQ, the football integrity to continue to fight, to continue to churn, to continue to get the plays that they need.
But going back to what Dub said earlier, though, if you go 0 for 5 on championship points, then maybe you don't want to win that much.
Well, throw that at the feet of Trey Robinson if you're trying to blame somebody.
Honestly, I think Trey Robinson had the last one when he threw the dumbass pass, but I wouldn't put the blame on someone that had 1 out of the 5.
Can't blame anybody. If you're going to
Losers.
single out anybody, you're going to single out the guy that missed the obvious opportunity at a tackle to force, again, not win the game. If they tackle Danye on that 3-on-1, the game is still not over because they're the Insomniacs, right?
Well, here's the thing. But here's the thing.
If you make that tackle, that's who I would blame because championship points do matter.
But here's the thing.
Go ahead, though.
They just wanted Danye to at least get to midfield because as this was unfolding, they had about 2 or 3 plays that they were going over, thinking about, okay, if Danye gets us to scoring range, these are what we're going to run, and we're going to score.
Because it's absolute fucking cap to say that they knew they were going to win as soon as they had that opportunity because they thought that they were going to have to go on offense and win it, which they could have. To be clear, the Insomniacs had every opportunity.
They had 17 seconds to go, and if I'm not mistaken, the Insomniacs
had
timeouts.
I'm pretty sure they had timeouts.
They had timeouts,
so
yes.
The thing about it is, it really, the fact that he was able to do that just was given levity as far as what Danye is able to do on the field. That's all I'm saying. And the fact that he's the one that did that and was able to, at the end of the game, say, I am, as Cam just said, I'm fucking him. In all honesty, I don't think that's what he said. I think he just said, I'm him, because we don't have a dump on the camera. I didn't hear that, and I was watching it live. But nonetheless, no matter what, the fact of the matter is,
no, he said, I'm him. I'm really him. I'm really fucking him.
There you go. All right. There you
go. And to be clear,
the fact of the matter is, Danye, I agree with you, Corey. He did something I didn't expect him to do with shutting down Worthy the way he did.
Nobody did. Nobody did
at all. That was my biggest fear, was the fact of what Ashanti Worthy was going to be able to do against the Insomniacs. And when I was watching the game and watching what Danye was doing when he had him man to man, was something that I found very, very incredible, because I do like Ashanti Worthy. I think he is a damn good player. I think he's one of the best wide receivers in this game. I think that if I was going to start a team and I could start with him, Darren Palmer, and Munchie, you can't cover any of my guys. Yeah, give me a decent quarterback. Hell, give me you at quarterback, and we're going to the championship with those 3 wide receivers.
I wouldn't tie an anchor like myself to those guys.
Oh, I would,
because give them somebody. I would love that. I'm not saying that.
That talent right there, as long as you've got a decent arm, you can get them the ball, and you
can get them the ball. But I mean, if Corey has an O-line that'll give him like 7 seconds to throw the ball, Corey's going to shred.
If you got those,
Corey will cook.
You've got 2 seconds to 3 seconds to throw the ball. You've got more than enough time. Those guys are getting open for you. All I'm saying is, to see what Danye is able to do against some of the better wide receivers in our league tells you everything you need to know about this young man and his talent. That's all I'm saying. If this young man who is, I don't even know how tall he is. I want to say he's like 5'8". I don't know if that's true or not. I can't think about how tall he truly is. All I'm saying is, if he was 6 foot, 195 pounds, we wouldn't be talking about him right now, because he would be in the NFL.
Yeah.
And that's why he is our number 1 corner of the 2024 season, according to the other side of the ball. And thank you, Jonathan Clark. If I could pay for your airfare / Uber, how fucking expensive would that Uber be from the real Sin City?
Shit. Ooh. Hey, stop with the real Sin City. From Las Vegas, it'd be really expensive.
No, with the C.
No, not with the C. The S.
Just to recap for the fans playing the home game. Number 7, Divine Epps from the Animals. Number 6, Yella Peasy, which I am I being racist saying that? I don't know.
No.
From OTT.
AKA Nigel Boone.
Number 5, Drizzy Pope, formerly of the fake Bishop Sycamore, HBO documentary, according to Jonathan Clark, excuse me.
HBO Real Sports, baby.
And now, since he's not with the real Sin City anymore, he's with the Covington Heist. Number 4, Sire Hancock, BIC. Number 3, Justin Shepard.
Justin Shepard.
Number 2, H3 Frazier, again BIC. And obviously, listen, to announce the number 1, Dub, do you want to do a promo that might be relevant for the upcoming thing that we have to promote? Which might feature our number 1 guy.
Well, coming up a month from tomorrow is this, brought to you by Ace NFL Nevada.
Feature.
Winter is coming. And he can make something magical happen here. And there goes the ball. It's going. It's going. You're a fan. Battles will be won. Hold on now. At the 30, and he Who's going to take victory? And that's why championship points matter. It's time for war.
And that is the Winter War coming to you, as I said, a month from tomorrow at Matter Academy. Myself, Chris Vera, and maybe the Asgardian, if he comes home from the Bifrost, will join us in the box, as we will be back in actual box.
Frozen out there in the Bifrost, but I'm just saying.
Not on the field, but we'll be back in the box to where we actually will know this time where the ball will be spotted and not where we think it's spotted. But come join us January 5th at Matter Academy, of course, for the Winter War, the prelude to Season 11 of the Ace NFL, which will take place on March the 16th, 2025.
And I'll ask for forgiveness after this, but 3:30, Matter Academy, this Saturday, tryouts for the Kings.
All right.
Bring yourself out and be ready to play.
Which our very own Chris Vera is coaching the wide receivers. So please come out and try out if you want to get in there and play. But thank you to everybody for watching episode number 114 of The Other Side of the Ball. Next week,
running backs.
The running backs of our league. Who will make the list?
I got running backs I want to talk about. Let's go.
I might just have to wear this shirt again because it's from a running back that may or may not be featured on our list. He absolutely will be on the list.
Where will he be? You'll have to come back and watch us. But
he absolutely will be number 1. Don't fuck around.
But special thanks to CP3 Corey Price for joining us, for Corey Hammond and for Chris Vera, and for you, the fans that came in and watched with us. We appreciate it. We always say thank you. It's greatly appreciated. Take care of yourself and each other, and we will see you on the other side of the ball as we count down the top 7 running backs of our league. Good fight. Good night.
And don't forget, the top 50 is coming up soon.
That part. Enjoy your night, guys.